I am the man who found Osama bin Laden. My copyright statement follows. None of the materials provided in this voiceover true account of my encounter with Osama bin Laden may be used, reproduced, or transmitted, in whole or in part, in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopying, recording, or the use of any information storage and retrieval system, without permission in writing from me. To request such permission and for further inquiries, contact me through email. My name is Cloak, John Cloak. 001. That's right, 007 ain't got nothing on me. He is fictional. I am real. All rights reserved. This is an eyewitness account of Osama bin Laden, archived in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Renting an apartment and buying new furniture had totally depleted my small savings and left us living from paycheck to paycheck. My hun offered to go back to work at her aunt's small store to help. Even so, I could not stomach the thought that my hun was going to have to work for less than $3 a day, with an unspecified number of hours on any given day. It may be 10, or it may be 15, depending on the store's needs, so she stayed home with me. My answer to the problem was to stay home more. Stop renting a car each month for any reason other than the necessary trip to Manila and the Office of Immigration each month for my and Bubby's visa. When the first week of each month came to pass, we rented a car and made the excruciatingly painful trip to Manila and to the Office of Immigration. We then returned home to turn in the rental car. Every first week of each month after paying bills and the trip to Manila, my Veterans Administration disability compensation check was so depleted that we sat home watching TV or surfing the internet, with only a once-a-week or so walk to the movie theater. As you might imagine, this became increasingly more difficult as time went by, and the value of the US dollar continued to decline, always keeping my PTSD in an aggravated state. I knew that I must soon find an answer as to why my Social Security disability compensation checks were no longer being deposited into my bank account. Somehow, someway, I must find out the truth and regain what I had lost. It had become my main focus in life. I would have my answers. I had to withdraw money from ATMs, which automatically give pesos by converting the peso to the dollar value of that particular hour. As the days, weeks, and months went by, my financial funds diminished totally. Because the US dollar was daily becoming worth less and less against the Filipino peso. Without the Social Security disability compensation, I was quickly becoming a poor man, with my hun, my angel, and my son Bubby relying on me to support them. By September 2007, I was in serious need of finding out what happened to my Social Security disability compensation. In this frame of mind, I sent an email to President Bush. See a copy of the email next. And please know that the internet service I was paying for was very bad. It worked sometimes, and then sometimes it did not work at all. In fact, I spent more time trying to get online than I spent online. It was driving me crazy. Dear kind, understanding, and honorable President Bush. Have I somehow been magically cured? Dear Mr. President, please take a moment of your time and appoint someone to look into this. My name is John Cloak. During your father's presidency, I served in the forces which protect our country and our way of life. While doing so, I was prepared to give my life in their defense. I was wounded in combat, during Operation Just Cause. During the Gulf War and due to problems beyond my control, I became very sick. After leaving my loved military, I filed for disability compensation and won my case after a 5-year battle. Over the years that have passed, I went to the VA outpatient clinic in Florida for medical needs and followed advice from the mental health clinic. Mr. Vollmer equals if it causes you any stress, stay away from it. After returning home from Panama, July 2006, where I introduced my son to his Panamanian family members, I returned to the VA outpatient clinic in Florida for medical needs, where I was refused an appointment with the mental health clinic for PTSD and was told I had to get a medical doctor to recommend an appointment with them first. This had never happened before as I have 100% service-connected PTSD. So, I made an appointment with a VA doctor. I arrived for the appointment with the doctor and in his office, I told him about asking for an appointment with mental health, and that they said I would have to get a recommendation from a doctor. He then looked at me and yelled, saying I will not give you any drugs. I was very taken back and did not ask again. Where did he get the idea that I wanted drugs? A few days later during another VA doctor's appointment inside VA outpatient clinic in Florida, I found that they were using my father's medical records to prescribe medication for my heart. Mr. President, sir, my father had died the year before. This troubled me for weeks, and the day I was to go into the hospital for an operation at the VA hospital in Bay Pines, Tampa, Florida, a woman on the phone that sounded like she was 18 but said she was 50. Told me not to shave my little groin area, they wanted to do that, and then laughed. I turned my back and walked away from this. I did not show up. A couple of months went by, then I asked my son to travel to the Philippines with me. Because I wanted to meet the woman I had been corresponding with for 1.5 years, and I was worried about traveling that far while leaving him alone. He did, and we arrived in Manila, Philippines on February 6, 2007. On April 20, 2007, I was married. On 3rd of May, we took a trip to Manila and on to the U.S. Embassy. After getting permission from a non-U.S. citizen, I was allowed to enter the front gate. After getting permission from a non-U.S. citizen, I was allowed to enter the front door. After getting permission from a non-U.S. citizen, I was allowed to enter the next door and onto the VA window. There I turned in my marriage license to the VA. After this, I walked over to the Social Security office and told them that I had just come from the VA office where I turned in paperwork for my marriage and asked if I needed to do the same with their office. They said no and I left. To get back to the small house I had rented and to my son, I went to an ATM to withdraw money for the trip. I noticed that my money was not the amount it should be. I then went to an internet cafe and opened my bank account at Florida Bank Online and found that my Social Security check had not been deposited. And still, as of September 2007, it has not been deposited into my bank account. I fear that I will not be able to save up enough money to ever return to the USA. Dear Mr. President, kind and understanding sir, please take a moment of your time and appoint someone to look into this problem. And if they find that I have somehow been magically cured and no longer deserve disability compensation, may I have my job back in the U.S. Army? If there has been a mistake, can my Social Security disability be turned back on? If there has not been a mistake, where is my disability check going? Have I somehow been magically cured? If so, kind sir, I need proof and the Social Security Administration needs to send it to me. If not, I want the person or persons that may have turned off my disability compensation fired outright and completely. I cannot help but feel that this was done to me deliberately and without remorse. It's just wrong to leave me stranded in the Philippines without the total disability compensation I have been receiving for well over 10 years. Please see Agent Blackwell FBI, for more information about my disabilities. And please, the kind person appointed by President Bush to look into this, have enough respect to contact me through email and let me know what's going on. If you've done your homework, you know that stress affects me deeply, so please inform me as to what's going on. So, I can live without the horrid stress that's building over this issue. In closing, Mr. President, Please accept my thank you for a job well done during your presidency and thank you for your respect in advance. Sincerely. Purple Heart, John Cloak.
Contacted is a person of interest listed on a case that we've received in our office, which does require your immediate attention. Please press 1 to be connected to an advisor to go over the matter before the case is forwarded out for processing. Contacted is a person of interest listed on a case that we've received in our office, which does require your immediate attention. Please press 1 to be connected to an advisor to go over the matter before the case is forwarded out for processing.
By September of 2007, I was getting so very angry about the US government taking such a long time to fix my Social Security disability compensation problem that I started emailing Governor Chris of Florida. I am from Florida, USA. It is the former governor of Florida, Jeb Bush, who helped me after receiving emails from me concerning problems I was encountering while in the country of Panama. So why would I not trust the current governor of Florida, Governor Chris, to help now? To follow are copies of these emails. You see, while in the city of Panama City, Panama from 2003 until mid-2006, I still received my disability compensation deposited directly into my Florida bank account as always. This meant that I used ATMs to withdraw my money and pay cash for rent, food, and so on. While doing so, many times the ATMs in Panama City, Panama would take the money electronically out of my bank account in Florida without dispensing any cash to my hand. That's right, the owners or bank owners of the ATM were electronically receiving my money into their bank. The ATM charge was also taken from my bank account, always leaving me without any way to get money for a full 24 hours if I had made a withdrawal of the full amount allotted by my debit card, Visa check card issuing company for a given 24-hour period. The times that this happened, of which I had no money in my pocket prior to my ATM visit, left me in a situation where I could not even make a phone call or take a taxi. I had to wait until the next day, and walk the many city blocks to the bank branch office of the ATM, and ask to talk to the bank manager. Each time, the bank manager could not see me and had a secretary handle my complaint. This had happened many times, and it had become apparent that the banks were running a scam, because they had me fill out a complaint form, give them the info on time and date, and ATM location, and always saying that they would do an investigation, and if it was found that I was owed money, the money would be returned to my account. In the meantime, I contacted my Florida bank and was informed that they would have to mail me a form to fill out. I was to return it to my bank in Florida by mail. Once they received it, an investigation would be done. I was getting angrier and angrier, as it would take 2 weeks for the form from my bank to get to me, then 2 weeks for it to be returned by mail. Then another few weeks for the investigation to be done. All this before my money would be returned to my bank account. Also, many Americans that I knew in Panama were having the same problem. Once I walked up to an ATM, and while waiting in line, I watched 1, 2, then 3 Panamanians get money from the ATM and walk away. Then an American in the line ahead of me had money taken from his account in the USA electronically, and no cash dispensed to his hand. It soon became apparent that the banks in Panama were running a multi-million-dollar scam, where they were electronic, removing $250 or so at a time from USA bank accounts and earning interest on it for the 6 to 8 weeks it took for a complaint to be investigated and the money returned to its rightful owner. Realizing this, I went online and found the email address of the governor of Florida. I then sent him a request for help in putting a stop to this scam. I do not have a copy of it still. It went on something like this. Dear Governor Bush, please help. I am a combat wounded veteran of the U.S. Army, living on VA disability compensation, in the city of Panama City, Panama. The banks here are running a scam, where they take money electronically through ATMs from Americans and or vacationing tourist bank accounts and do not give them any cash from the ATM. Then draw interest in the money for weeks until they have to give the money back. If a vacationing tourist with a bank account outside of Panama goes to an ATM to withdraw money, the money is taken from their account electronically, but no cash is given to them. They then have to go to the bank that owns the ATM and have an investigation done. At the same time, contact their bank and ask that investigation forms be sent by mail to them. This causes weeks of time delay and the bank that owns the ATM is now sitting on their money. Example, if 3,000 vacationing tourist goes to an ATM, withdraw $250, and the ATM electronically removes the money from their accounts but gives them no cash. That adds up to $750,000 for that day. Then while the claim investigations are ongoing for 6 weeks, the bank is earning interest from the World Bank of 6%. This adds up to $45,000. So you can see that when this is done, over a few weeks or months, what the banks make is in the millions. Would this not be a great way for the terrorists to fund their activities? Governor Bush, please assign someone to address this problem. I received an email reply from the office of Governor Bush that went towards something like this. Dear Sir, Governor Bush has received your message and understands it fully, and has asked that I reply on his behalf. Unfortunately, Panama is out of the governor's jurisdiction, so he cannot address the problem directly. Your message is being forwarded to the president of the World Bank. Again, the governor understands your message, and thank you for contacting him on this matter. Sincerely. The next day, while walking around the block from my apartment, I noticed a white van and men working at the ATM. As I walked up, I watched as a man in a business suit spoke earnestly at a laborer in Spanish as he opened the ATM with beads of sweat running down his face. I understood enough to know that the man was not to stop until the ATM was in working order. Over the next few hours, as I walked around the city, I found ATM after ATM, which were being worked on by crew after the crew. Ha ha ha, I loved it. Governor Bush and the president of the World Bank had woken up the banking system of Panama, and the ATM problem did not come back for the rest of the years we were there.